Hey there, welcome back to Eager Gridless Beaver. This is a burning bush. I'm going to be cloning this in about, 4 or 5, maybe 10 other deciduous trees around the off-grid wilderness garden. This is all part of our food forest initiative and a way to be able to keep on producing plants and shrubs that birds and insects will love. So what we're going to be doing, instead of spending money, is spending some time taking some cuttings and propagating some of these. I mean, if you have a big space and you want to be able to fill in spots with things, these are just a small sample of the things that we have here, and they're all beautiful. I mean, that yellowish orange one there, that's a 9-bark. I think it's called like an autumn blaze 9-bark. This is just a regular old spirea. I shouldn't say regular and old because it is beautiful. And this is a burning bush. We're going to be going through how to clone these via cuttings and create duplicates, genetic duplicates of all of these deciduous trees. So stick around if you want to see how to use simple tools, sharp scissors, root stimulator, some soil, a garbage bag, moisture, and you have those things, and put them all together and you have a whole slew of new perennials. If you have space and you want to be able to fill that space with stuff, the only way you can do that is typically buy things or have things given to you. Both are, one's better than the other. It's nice to be given things, but you don't always have the variety or the choice in the matter. If you want to buy nice things for your spaces, then that's obviously an option. But doing it once should be all it takes. Shouldn't you be able to keep on creating more and more of these? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start creating some cuttings from these deciduous trees around the homestead and get to making some clones of those bad boys so that we can save a bunch of money as well as fill in space or just give them away like we don't normally do. So stick around if you're interested in any of that. Okay, so the ingredients necessary to do these cuttings, and we're going to go through this a bunch, so don't feel like you have to know this all right off the hop. There's no test at the end to tell you, make sure that you know these facts, but you'll get it through repetition. I'll get you some in-close shots so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm going to explain it once so that we can get a good idea for what's going on. We're going to be selecting proper burning bush. I have trimmed this recently and we lost a lot of the likely candidates for taking cuttings from, but there is enough around that I'll be able to demonstrate to you. We're going to be taking a cutting off of the end. Part of the work that we're going to have to do is actually selection of an appropriate branch. We're going to be putting some of this stuff. There's many different varieties, and what this is like rooting compound. It really helps things take hold and get things going as far as root system for these small little cuttings. So and then we just are going to put them into some soil that's been already prepared, put them inside of a clear plastic bag, put them in our bunkie out of the way from the sun but in some clear light, and then check it every day. Make sure it gets some fresh air, make sure there's no mold growing on it, and just see how things go. So I'm excited, so let's get to it. I've got a bad addiction for buying trees and shrubs, so it's nice to be able to get some done myself. We have had some success with this in the past. There's 3 or 4 things around here that have done well. We have had some other ones, but they just didn't last. We didn't take care of them well enough after we got them in the ground. So an error on our part. But we have one of these, as I mentioned, the autumn blaze 9-bark. We also have one of our snowball viburnums, and we have some haskapes. Haskaps are probably what I'm going to focus on most today because they look nice, but they also give back to the birds. The robins just finished picking clean all of our haskaps. We did have a good serving for ourselves, but the animals around here just love them. We have Waxwing Cedars that really have started coming around because we have so many things like currants and grapes and haskaps for them to eat, blueberries soon. I don't want to give all the stuff away, but as long as I'm getting some of it right now anyway, I'm happy with giving that back to the bird population and the insects. The bird population, we have 2 new varieties of birds that we've never even seen around here before. A pine siskin just finished up nesting one of our shrubs, our dapple willow, and a robin is in the grape trellis behind me. It's its second go. It's had two nests full already, so it's doing very well. It's very aggressive too, so it's not having any problems holding off the whole area, as well as pooping all over my truck. But let's get to it. Let's see some close-ups of this stuff in action and put these things to use so that we don't just talk about creating new trees and shrubs, we actually do it. I'll show you, I might show you a couple different varieties, but we're just going to start with some simple cuttings and getting them into the area here. So without further ado, the selection process. How do you select an appropriate branch to be able to take a cutting from? Okay, so you can see in here probably where I've been trimming these off with a hedge trimmer, but this is a pretty good candidate for what we're trying to do today. As new branches are born and emerge from the thicker branches such as this, they're really green. You can see ones that are up here that are really new. They're really green and they're really, really bendy. Like you can see that just like you can do almost anything to it. It's not gonna bust and it's not gonna have issues. That's not where you really want to make a cut. It's sort of in this example, you want to be making the cut further back along here, where if I try to bend it, it actually sort of breaks. It's not like as bendy as it was. This isn't a perfect example. It's still a little too green, but you want it sort of where it's more like this, where you can see it's starting to go woody and it's starting to become a hardened off branch. So what we're going to do is go down about 6 or 8 inches and make a cut. You typically want to do it where there's a couple of, like at least one branch or like a node is coming out, because that'll encourage growth. So I'll take one right there. And there we go. We have our very first cutting. What we do next is pull off the bottom halves, such as that. Trim up the top halves, such as that. Then we are going to take this rooting compound that you see here. We're going to take our twig and vigorously rub it around in there. You probably shouldn't reuse the same one all the time, but I always do. So it's got a good amount on there. I don't want to push it into the ground like this because, I mean, this is a little bit excessive, so I'm going to tap that off so it doesn't have nearly as much. Then I'm going to take a pointy stick, drive that into the soil where I want to put it, and then put that in about 2 inches and loosely cover. And there you go, our very first cutting. It's not a complicated process. It's just about really making a good selection and sort of babying it a little bit afterwards. But this is the process. We're taking small little limbs from the various trees, an appropriate amount of length with appropriate amount of growth, and then we are putting them in soil. So let's get to it. I'm not going to show you that. I'll do every step along the way now. I'm just going to do a bunch of cuttings now from tree to tree, and then we're going to do them all at once. I'm just going to put them into something with a little bit of soil to keep them moist, such as like that, just so that I can, while I'm doing this work, the roots aren't sitting exposed too much. So we'll just push them into this so that we have all the cuttings basically ready to go. And I can do all of this at once. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to cover this back up. This stuff goes a long way. I mean, one of these will last you probably, gosh, I don't know how long. We've been using the same ones. We don't do that many cuttings, but it will last a long way. So we're going to take two more of these. This one looks pretty good. I'll just do a test on one, just to see. I'll break it off, see if it'll break off right below where I want to cut it. See, it snapped that time. You can't hear it from back there, but it actually snapped. So, oops, I just ruined that one. Oopsie. Actually, I can go right up to here. Probably a little too short. I'm gonna go with it. Take off the lower ones. And then put it in the just in the dirt there. Okay, so I need one more here. Let's find a goodie. This one looks pretty good. Pull off the bottom ones. Snip up the tops. And then put it in the soil. Okay, burning bush done. Next tree. What do I want? Into the dirt. We're going to be doing this in just a couple minutes anyway. It's not like it's waiting a super long time. I'm not that concerned. If I wasn't filming, I probably would be just doing this as I go, but it's only 3 each, so it's all very doable. I mean, I'm so excited about the prospect of having more of this stuff in the future. You know, looking at the garden centers, I'm like, holy crow, how much for a Japanese maple? It's not cheap. That viburnum behind me here, it's not doing very well at all. It's had a lot of issues this year, so anyway, we didn't get to it, and the aphids really got to it, so it's been a real problem. This Weigela is a good example of something that it would do well if it had more sun, but it's not getting enough sun right now. So take 3 of these. 1. Okay, and into our hascap area here. This is one of our cloned hascaps from a couple years ago when we took it from cuttings, and now it's getting to be a good size hascap. But we're going to take some more. I should take from this, but this one is so full of growth here that I don't want to pass it up. The way that hascaps also work is they can't all be the same variety. There's 2 different sort of types of hascaps, so they need to be grouped together. These are both related. Either way, I'm going to take 3 of these. These are really hard, though. Find some ones that aren't so hardened. They're really so hardened off right now, it feels like, that I don't even want to take off. Like, okay, there's some on the undergrowth under here, there's some that aren't so hard. I just want some ones that are just really... Okay, this one seems pretty good. One. Two. And 3. Okay, so I got 3 of that variety. I'm going to try to find 3 off this tree too. A lot of them feel really like super woody, so I don't want to be I might have to hold off for this one because they just feel woody everywhere. Okay, and this will be my last 3. I have so many things around that I still want to take cuttings from. It seems like a shame not doing them all, but what can you do? 1. 2. 3. Okay, that is good. We've made all of our cuttings now. This shrub looks great. The viburnum in the front looked similar years ago, but it just hasn't done well. It's had a lot of aphid problems. So anyway, let's get to stage 2 where I trim off all these extra branches, as well as put the root stimulant on, and proceed to getting some new trees and shrubs. Or shrubs. Oh, yeah, there's trees. There's a Japanese maple in here. Ah! So we have all of these. We're going to trim them up one at a time and put them in the rooting compound so that we can get this work done. And the sticks, poke all the holes. So we're just poking the holes here so that when we have the rooting compound on our things, our various cuttings, that it can go into the hole and the rooting compound sort of stays with it. I'm going down about 2 inches or so. And if I've made a mistake and don't have enough, that's a good thing, because then I'll go get some more. Because there's so much more I didn't even get to. It's great. I put this one in because it's all funky, but we'll keep everything sort of together. This is that most recent viburnum. It has a different name. It's more of a pinkish white versus a true white. So taking these off, trimming them up, and putting it, into the rooting compound. Like that. Putting it into the soil and cover it. Just like that. Once again, you take off the lower leaves. You can be aggressive. You don't want the plant trying to feed its roots. You want some photosynthesis, but you just want enough so that the root system can get established. Into the rooting compound once again, like that. Into the soil, cover. Bottom off. Snip. Snip. Into the rooting compound. Into the soil. And cover. About 2 inches down. One down, one grouping done. So this is the only haskap, I guess, because that's what I took. Once again, we're taking the leaves off. This is pretty good and nasty. You can't see it, but this is where the leaves were coming off here. It feels a little woody, so I'm not sure if it's going to take, but we're going to try it. It's worth it. Worth a try. For the cost of this exercise, it's definitely, you're not really spending a lot, but you are possibly getting a lot in return. Think about how many berries can be produced on a haskap plant every year. And that's what we're talking about for this particular thing. I have 3 of these. If I bought these new, I mean, around these parts, I'd probably pay around, I don't know, 15 bucks per. So that's like 45 bucks, you know, and by those really bad math calculations. So that's a significant savings, if you ask me, something that is worth this effort to do. This is very woody down here, so we'll see. I can't get too worked up about it. It is what it is. And we are on to our Weigela. Pulling off the bottom leaves. Cutting off parts of the tops here. Just get rid of a bunch of it so it's not trying to feed itself, and the leaves, they're probably going to die. It's going to go backwards for a little while, so it's not a shocker when that happens. Put it in the rooting compound into the soil. Weigela again, pulling off the bottom leaves, chopping the uppers up somewhat into the rooting compound and into the soil. Another Weigela. Okay. Weigela. Viburnum. Haskap. Man, we got so much stuff going on here now. So this is a very variegated dogwood. Same process, removing the lower leaves, chopping up some of these uppers into the rooting compound and into the soil. You can still chop these up a little bit once they're in the soil too. It's not like you are forbidden to trim them a little more. From my experience in doing this in the past, things can look like they're going in a bad shape. I mean, if you don't get enough air, you'll have like mold and stuff growing on things. If you don't get enough moisture, things will just out and out die. So you want to find a balance for the moisture. That's what this plastic bag is going to be for. After we're through here, we're going to put a couple of pieces of, sticks in to be able to keep it so it's elevated, and then we're going to seal it up after we water it so that it stays nice and moist and can grow. And we're going to make sure that every day it gets a little bit of airflow through there so that it has a chance to breathe, but it doesn't need much. It's going to need some pretty good light without direct access to the sun. I've made that mistake before where I didn't have something out of the sun enough, and I basically greenhoused things into a state where everything was dead. Where's that? Oh, this is the viburnum. So this is the other viburnum that hasn't been doing well. This leaf in particular is not great, so I hope it does okay. And then I got one more of those. So let's get that in the ground too. I know I want that. What is this? Okay, this is. Oh, so I got bridal wreath spirea, Japanese maple, and burning bush still to go. And I've been a bad boy, and I've cut more than I can use. What I'd really like to have is this Japanese maple. So I'm going to put this in. I'm not sure if this will even work, but like I said, it's worth a chance. I'd love to have 3 new Japanese maples to play with. And then, I don't know what to do here. I'm going to put these, all three of these in the same one because I can separate them in the future if they take. And I want those bridal wreath spireas that we cut, so these ones are already sort of cut. I shouldn't be just poking in the ground, but I am. And then we have our final, for today anyway, candidate, which is a bridal wreath spirea, which was really pretty. It's done blooming now. Did very well. Oh! Not like that. Anyway, hopefully that'll still be okay. We're gonna find out, I guess. Should have cut a lot more off of this one. That's very aggressive. Anyway, let's see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen? And this is an extra. I'll put it in somewhere because it definitely is guaranteed not to grow if I don't put it in the ground. And then we'll get on to the final stage. Okay, yay, that's done. Now we're on to the final stage, which is watering things. And then we're going to put all of this inside of a plastic bag once I've created enough of a little support structure for it, and seal it up. And then the monitoring of the situation begins. That's going to be the fun part, checking this every day to see whether or not this stuff actually makes it. So now we're going to create a little bit of a structure to help keep this stuff all together. So we're going to give this a watering. Yoink, yoink, yoink. Half decent watering. I'm going to put these in the corners. Okay, it's well watered. Add a little bit more soil in some spots here if it needs it. Just like that. Make my hands nice and dirty. That's okay. Take 4 predefined sticks, put them in the corners, just loosely. We want to help hold up the bag. And if the stuff doesn't do as well, then what can you do? Wipe our hands off, take our plastic bag. It looks a little dirty because my camera died in between last shots, so I have to back this out and refilmify it. Pull this in, pull it up as far as it can go, pull it over, and then just slide it down, basically. It depends upon how high your sticks are, but you just want to give it so there's elevation. This is going to be fine, I think, as long as I can mostly get it sealed. So like that, and then I can just loosely tie that off, just like that. And we have an area that's basically a portable greenhouse. Now we're going to find a good spot for this. Okay, there you have it. The seedlings or cuttings are all set. My recorder died, so sorry about the different quality for the mic for the 17 people that actually made it to the end here. But yeah, it's as simple as it is to create your own food forest or propagate your own trees and shrubs. It's not going to be 100% successful. You have to monitor things. You could also take things even further by using mostly sand and perlite, but I just use potting soil. I don't want to spend money to try to create perfect conditions. I like the stuff that just seems to find a way to survive. So hopefully we'll get 2 or 3 out of this. That would be a success to me, because that's 3 of those trees or shrubs are worth the hour I just spent collecting all these things. So hopefully you'll try that out and create some more clones of your own or someone else's food forest items, so you can create your own off-grid wilderness garden like we have been doing. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. Check out our other videos, subscribe, like, do the thing that you want or that I want maybe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.